For some of you, this, what we call debriefing discussion or post-lesson discussion, may be a new kind of professional conference event that you've never experienced before. That is a chance to observe a lesson with a group of people and then to talk about it in terms of what issues it raised about instruction and about mathematics. So within the lesson study world, these are the usual result of an observation of a lesson is this kind of discussion. And in order for them to go as well as possible, we usually have a certain format of them to encourage maximum discussion and to have the focus of the discussion be where we want it to be. So if you'll notice in your booklet on the same page as the observation guidelines, there, which is right before the blue divider. There's also some protocols for the debriefing discussion. So you've already had a chance to take about 10 or 15 minutes to look over your notes and gather your thoughts, and the team has had a chance to relax for a few minutes and whatnot. The format of the discussion will be that I'm going to act as a kind of a moderator, which is helpful in this big of a group. If you were doing it yourselves in your team, you probably would do it more informally without a moderator. You probably wouldn't have one of you playing the moderator role. But it's a good idea with this size group to have a moderator. And we're also going to take advantage of something that happens in lesson study often, which is to ask one of the observers to primarily be a listener and processor during the discussion and bring forward thoughts that they might have at the end as a sort of end of discussion commentary, I guess you might say, or fresh insights. And we've asked June Mark from EDC to play that role today, so after the discussion, she may actually participate in the discussion, because I'm not sure she will. She's gonna try to put together some of her thoughts at the end. All of that, we're also just eager to hear everyone's thoughts about this lesson. The format will be that the teachers of the lesson will have an opportunity to speak first and just give some brief comments about what they thought, and then the team members who planned the lesson will also each have a chance to raise some issue that they'd like to put forth or something they noticed that they'd like to put out on the table. So perhaps something you'd like to discuss, or perhaps just an observation that you thought was notable. And at that point, after that, some of those things may be requests for discussion about a topic. And so we'll at that point, there may be a chance to discuss some of the things that the team has put forth. And in any case, this will be a little bit fluid, but after that, you've all made observations, and you've actually jotted down some things on the yellow paper that you'd probably like to talk about. So at that point, individuals from the whole group will begin offering their own suggestions for what they'd like to discuss. And I hope that at that point, it will become, or at some point even sooner, a discussion as opposed to a series of reports. So it sounds very formal, but I know that soon it will develop into hopefully an animated discussion. I just would like to remind you that for this kind of an event and for the purposes we're doing today, our primary goal is to bring forward as much information as we can about real observations, specific things that you observed, especially around the issue of how the students were thinking, working, learning. And our focus is less this time on trying to evaluate the teacher or specifically focus solely on the teacher's actions. We're trying to aim first at the students' thinking and as the teacher's actions relate to that, but not try to focus solely on the teacher. And as part of that, since this is really the team's lesson, even though Andrea and Nancy were the ones that were teaching it, they all will probably want to be the ones that you direct your questions to or your thoughts, and they'll probably all be responding, not just Andrea and Nancy.